We're going to look at another WSI limited edition truck model, and this one is a Scania with a big Palfinger loader crane, and it's in the colours of a Swedish company, BA-Perssons. So we cut the tape and lift the lid, and we can get the first of the parts out. And as we do that, look at the skill in revealing there's also a Palfinger manual with the model. The parts include a fly jib and a bag of small parts, and let's take a quick look through the manual for the Palfinger. For the assembly, we will rig the loader crane to the maximum, and that means adding the fly jib. It's easy to do by disconnecting and taking out the top section, and then replacing that with the complete fly jib. Once it's inserted, there's also a connection to make of the piston to the end, and then we're all set. After that, we can add the lifting beam to the top of the headboard for temporary storage, and there's also a winding handle for the rear hitch, but there's not enough space to get it in. As we expect from WSI models, the chassis is very detailed. The gearbox and transmission is all there, and there are different tyres on the driven and non-driven axles. There are also lots of nice shiny boxes and tanks. The Scania Streamline Highline cab looks particularly good, and it's got some very nice details such as the graphics on the windscreen. There's a realistic number plate and lots of tiny details, and the overall decoration and graphics make this a very attractive model. Another pleasing aspect is the attractive detailed wheels, and they also have Bridgestone tyre branding. The Scania name on the chromework is also very good, and as you can see, the Palfinger has lots of tiny graphics to give it an authentic appearance. The box at the rear has some nice graphics, but the rear outrigger pistons cannot be fully retracted. Moving to the back, the lights are nicely detailed, and the big rigid mud flap has interesting graphics. The flatbed deck has a nicely finished structure, and the plastic replica timber inlays look the part. The big Palfinger is marked as a PK92002, and it's very detailed, made up of lots of components. And as you can see on the fly jib, there are detailed graphics, and the moving telescopic sections have their own pistons. We will start by looking at the steering, and the range of movement really is very small, but as always, something is better than nothing. In terms of rolling the model along, then it's just fine in a straight line, but if we want to turn a corner, then we need to make sure we've got plenty of space, because the steering angle is so limited. There is one other feature on the chassis, and that is that the rear axle can be clipped up out of service. And although the range of movement isn't huge, it is enough to be able to get the rear axle wheels free. Of course, if you have a truck, it's always a good idea to make sure it's got an engine. And on this model, the cab tilts nicely, and there you can see the engine underneath. There are some options which exist for the flatbed deck, and the first is to install a load of deck posts. And there are plenty of different ways that you can configure these. With the posts in place, let's try loading the truck up. So we'll start by adding some small spreader plates, and we can follow that up with a large hook block. In fact, why have one block when you can have two? Another option for the flatbed deck is to fit 4 container locks, and these provide a nice fixing for a container. And the one we're adding here is WSI part number 041153. The other way to display the model is to use the big loader crane. So we'll start by pulling out the rear outrigger beams, which are 2-stage, and winding down the pads, which reveal nice smooth pistons, and there's also spreader plates provided. The outrigger beams at the loader crane pull out and then rotate down, The beams are two-stage and the pads lower by unscrewing in the same way as those at the back. Now we are all set to open up the big Palfinger loader crane. This is a complex piece of model engineering, so you have to be careful how you unfold it, but it just does follow the way the real loader crane works. The hydraulic rams on the review model were for the most part reasonably stiff, and of course you can also rotate the loader crane through a full circle. After opening up the loader crane you can telescope out the various sections and get extended reach, and the telescopic sections pull out smoothly. As you can see, at extended reach the hydraulic rams might bleed down a little bit, but with care you can set the model up to have an impressive extended reach. Big loader cranes make impressive and complex models, and WSI Models has always made a very good job of them. This particular one is a very attractive limited edition Scania, and it has lots of flexibility in terms of how you can pose the model. The detailing and most of the features are very nice, and overall the model is very good.